to see all of us. Like I said, this is a very important conversation. If you're at home and you're watching us, please do send us a message, 055-157-5757. That's the number to send your messages. Let us know. Hemophilia, probably you're at home. You've heard certain things that are not true. You think that some of them are just myths that people have. We are having this conversation intently so you get to know what it is and how to curb it. Okay, so please call us or send us your messages once again, 055-157-5757. We're getting into the conversation. Now, I'm joined by three amazing people. Like I said, we have in studio Christiana Teko Angmo. She is a project officer at the Ghana Hemophilia Society. Yeah. We also have Emmanuel France, who is a patient. And then we have Dr. Eugene Tete, who is a specialist in hematology. Yes, so he's here and he's doing amazing. So we're going to get into the conversation. Dr. Tete, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Right. Now, let's get into the conversation of hemophilia. This is not a topic we are new to. Many people have heard, many people know, maybe might have an idea of it. When I did some research, I was told in my research that hemophilia is a genetic bleeding condition. Yeah. Yes, it has its up and downs, there are types of it, but coming from the health aspect himself, what is hemophilia?
Okay, so thank you for having me. So hemophilia is, as I said, it's a genetic disorder, bleeding disorder. Yes. Mostly inherited. And I say mostly because there are a few cases that are acquired. Okay. So inherited means you inherit it from your parents. Your parents give it to you and you are born with it, like in the case of France. But there are a few cases where it's acquired. So you get another condition. Usually you get, it can be a cancer or something. And then you can also get hemophilia. So it's a genetic condition, mostly inherited. And the problem is that they lack a particular factor in the body that prevents bleeding. So there are factors, as we said now, in your body, there are things circulating in your human body that prevents you from bleeding. And that's why when you get a cut with a little pressure, a little bandage, then the bleeding stops. Right. Sometimes if you can even bite your tongue, and just for some time, after some time it goes away. But with hemophilia, so what happens is that they lack certain things in their blood, so they don't clot. They bleed for a long time, long hours. Right. Yeah, so that's what usually happens to them. And these factors, we call them clotting factors. In hemophilia, usually has to do with clotting factor 8, 9, and sometimes 11. But the commonest is 8, right. What we call hemophilia A. Right. Yeah, so there are about 13 clotting factors. So for them, it's factor 8, factor 9, and then there's hemophilia C, which is factor 11. But in most of the time, it's factor A, clotting factor 8 that has a problem. So that's their main problem. Prolonged bleeding. So it's not like they bleed more, but it will be prolonged so much that they lose blood for a long time, and that's where the problem is. Yes.
So that's what hemophilia
is. Yes.
Now we'll get into the types because then again, even though some are rare, these cases still exist where we are. So we'll get into the differences, the A, B's, and then the C's, and get to understand what hemophilia really is about. Now, I'm glad that we have a patient who's also going to tell us what he faces on a daily. But also, I like that you have mentioned that. But how is it that a minor cut can affect your body so much?
Yes. So, as I said, assuming that I'm normal, the body is designed in such a way that if you get a cut from anything at all, it can be sometimes it's not a cut, it's just maybe an abrasion or something, anything that will expose body tissue or bleeding, the body has a mechanism to stop the bleeding.
What's the name of that mechanism?
So that's we call it that's a clotting cascade. Okay. So for females, I'm sure you know that females, you go to labor, baby will come. Sometimes there are tears. Sometimes the doctors actually give you incisions, episiotomies. But once you pack, you apply pressure, bandage, whatever, after some time, it should stop bleeding because there are things in the body that make sure these things happen. So that's what clotting factors, there are about 13 of them, from 1 to 13. Now, in hemophiliacs, they lack particular ones. So once you lack it, that means that that cascade is disrupted. It doesn't work properly. And that's why they continue bleeding. So with hemophiliacs, they get a cut, and instead of the thing stopping in maybe 5 minutes, they can bleed for a whole day. Unless we come in, healthcare workers come in and give them that factor that they are lacking. So for each hemophilia, we know what is lacking in your blood.
Right.
For France, for instance, I mean, he has hemophilia A, so he lacks factor 8.
Right.
So if ever he walks into my clinic with a knee swelling or gum swelling or bleeding from the nose, we have factor 8, we give it to him, and then he's fine.
Right.
So so it's a disruption of the body's clotting system, and that's what causes the problem for them. Yes.
At what point does it become dangerous? Because, like you said, there may be bleeding from the nose, there may be gum swelling, he will get a cut. At what point does it become dangerous? Yes.
So the first danger is not knowing, not knowing, and assuming somebody has hemophilia and is involved in an accident, and nobody knows. He was treated like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You can't just imagine. I mean, we had an incident where somebody was attacked at home and he was stabbed. The spleen was stabbed and he was bleeding internally. And they didn't know that he had hemophilia. So you bleed, and it's prolonged bleeding. So everybody's bleeding will stop. But the hemophilia's bleeding will continue. And imagine you are bleeding for days, sometimes 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks, a month. You are losing blood, small. A time will come, then all your blood levels will drop, and that's where the problem is. So the first thing is about not knowing. The second thing is that you can have hidden bleeds. So you can bleed into your head.
Right.
You can bleed into your chest. You can bleed into your abdomen. You can bleed anywhere where it might not show outwardly.
Right.
So if you bleed from your nose, you will see it. From your gums, you will see it. I mean, even if you urinate and you see blood, you will see that, yes, there's blood in it. But assuming you are bleeding into your chest slowly, you will never know.
Right.
You'll be there, realize that, you are feeling tight, your chest feeling tight. And most of the time, by the time you get to the hospital, nobody knows. By the time you go through the bushings, then that's it.
Yeah.
So the problem is, the first one is not knowing. Secondly, the hidden bleeds. And that's what we really fear most of the time.
So would we say that everyone or most of the people who suffer internal bleeding have hemophilia?
Not most of them, but some of them. Some of them. Actually, we've had cases where people have bled and nobody knew they had hemophilia until they were taken to theater. Doctors cut open and the bleeding is not stopping. Somebody says, let's check. And it's just one simple test.
Right.
And then they say, it's a problem.
Right.
So, I mean, many people, and we hear all these things, they had an accident, he was fine, he was discharged home,
Yes.
then he was rushed back and then he died.
Yes.
Some of those cases, that's the problem.
Right. Yeah. Talking about that, Christiana, how common is it in Ghana? Because, like you said, there are so many situations that we would see. Someone is not well.
Okay.
The person is sent to the hospital, looks perfectly fine. And then the next morning, we are waking the person up, the person is not waking up. And everyone says, it's coming in the benku.
I know, right?
But it's because of cases like this. So how common is it in our setting?
Okay. So it's a very rare condition, but then it's estimated that out of every 10,000 births, there is a hemophilic. Yeah, so looking at Ghana's population, we are about 35 million, right? Yeah, so we are projecting like 3,500 patients. But currently, the society have 529 patients. So there are still more people out there. So even though it is rare, but then people are suffering from it. Yeah.
So people still have, it's just that we haven't found those out.
Yes.
Do you think there are some people who know and are hiding it as well?
Of course, yes. Because
I was just telling them that even some doctors, there's and France will tell you, I mean, he was diagnosed when he was 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will tell you a story. Even going to school. Can you just imagine growing up in an environment where everybody knows that, this person there, any small thing, then he will bleed. Any small thing, he will bleed. The bleeding will not, unless he goes to hospital. There's a stigma attached to it. So we have parents who are in denial.
Right.
Even some of the patients themselves, they deny. They come, we tell them, and it's amazing, even health workers, doctors, they are in denial.
Right.
Because they don't want people to know that they have such a condition. So sometimes they hide it until it gets to a point where it's a matter of life and death. And that's when sometimes they agree to take the products and all. Because the there's a lot of myth about all these
and we'll
things.
get into that. I'm really excited that we've gotten there. There are misconceptions and myths that we'll get into. But let me come to France. France, you have a story. Tell me.
Story. A lot.
I'm ready to listen to the Lord. So
I'll say a few. Okay, so growing up, I was having consistent bleeding, which my mom rushed me to the hospital, and then I was diagnosed that I had hemophilia. But my mom actually, she didn't want to accept, because she gave birth to me as a normal kid, and then I was just there. You have tooth bleed, swelling knee, and all, yeah. So some time ago, I had a bleed back home, my front tooth. So I was being rushed to the hospital, and then they took a sample. They diagnosed to see if I was hemophilia, and yes, it turned out I was hemophilia. So you see, as a kid, when you have this disease, your mom tries to prevent you from playing all sorts of games, because she's being told that you have this situation. So when you get hurt, kids around will be like, this guy, you shouldn't play with him, because when he gets hurt, his mom will come and then he will complain that you see that thing. So let's say when kids are playing out there and then you find yourself in there, they'll be like, this kid must go, because we don't want issue and that thing. So through that, I found it hard to even make friends. I was always isolated. I was always in my room, watching movies, anime, and that was it. And when we talk about education, people with such bleeding disorder, bleeding frequently, sometimes going to school is very difficult, because you might have a swollen knee, which you can't even walk on it, because it's very tense, it's very hot. You can't walk, you can't even bend your leg. So you have to stay home for like number of days before healing, then you go back to school. So academically, if you're not strong enough, you can't even go further. Yeah, that's how it is.
So it did affect, if I hear clearly, as a child, you felt very isolated.
Yeah.
How did you deal with the isolation?
It's like growing up, so you have to take it. Yes, you become used to it, because you're always in your room, and then whether there's light, there's no light, you have to stay in there, because there's no kid around to play with you, because they're just scared you might get hurt and then there'll be trouble.
So did they understand what you were going through, or there's the fact that, Mommy, this boy's mother is strict?
Yeah, for what they know is that this guy's mom is very strict. So they don't want their son, like her son, around them.
Right.
That's how it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you at any point try to explain to people what it was?
Okay, so I was so young and I couldn't understand myself. Personally, I know I had bleeding disorder, but I saw myself as a normal kid. I didn't see anything like, I saw myself like a normal kid. If kids are playing football, I want to play some. My favorite game is even basketball. I like playing basketball, but due to this, I can't even play. But normally, I'll go to the b-ball court and then I watch kids playing. Yeah, I just watch them play.
So being one thing that we all know when it comes to this, then Dr. Titi did say that you're marginalized. It's like nobody wants to include you in anything. Now you're grown.
Yeah.
You've been able to hold it down.
Yeah.
Growth. What is the situation now? How are you dealing with?
Okay. So apparently right now I bleed a lot, but it's not like how I used to be bleeding when I was young.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I've known myself better, and then I've been able to handle myself. And I know when my bleeding starts, I know what to do. So the bleeding doesn't come like too much. I don't play unnecessary games. I just stay inside, watch movie, and play music. That's all.
So even until now, you're still very to yourself.
Reserved.
Yeah.
Is it because you fear? Because now you're an adult. I mean, you have a mouth, you have a voice.
Yeah.
If anybody moves to you in any way, you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
So would you say that that has still grown with you? Because it sounds like you're still very in your little corner.
Yeah. So let's say I've been able to speak to friends who are around me about the condition, which they find it so new. Because even at school, back in school, even some teachers didn't know.
Right.
So sometimes I teach them about it, that hemophilia is a bleeding disorder which is mainly inherited by the female parent.
Right.
So when I tell them, they just go and then do a research on it, and then they find out that it's something which really exists, and then it's among us.
So
Yeah.
I hear you say that when your bleeding comes,
Yeah.
do you get hurt before you bleed? In what instance do you bleed, or you just be then?
Yeah. I have some that I have to force myself before the bleed comes. Like maybe I stress myself by lifting heavy instrument or something. Yeah, stressing myself all day long, I bleed. And I have some that it comes by its own.
Right.
Yeah, I can be there walking normally, and then it starts coming.
Normally, where do you bleed through?
My nose, my mouth, and then my elbow, and then my knee. Yeah, sometimes my knee. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the knee, it's internal.
Yeah, internal, it gets swollen.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's how you know that there's blood accumulated
Yeah.
in this place.
Yeah.
Right. What does this condition prohibit you from doing? That maybe if it wasn't there, you would have wanted to do.
Yeah, like the basketball I was talking about. Like I would love to play basketball. Even if they had a team, I would have joined. Yeah, because I like basketball. And aside that, I like music too. So
Right.
yeah.
Once again, this is a very big conversation. I don't think people understand that hemophilia really is here. People have it, they don't know about it. Does it affect your breathing? Your breath?
No, unless maybe I have severe bleeding. So when you have severe bleeding and then let's say your blood drains, actually your heart, it pounds very fast. So you have shortness of breath.
Dr. Titi and Christiana,
There are some patients who have halitosis, like
because they bleed in the mouth,
what they bleed through their mouth,
wherever blood
so
accumulates,
they have certain
bad breath.
Bad breath, yeah. So some of them feel shy to talk.
Right.
There are some patients that when we call for patient meeting and they come, some of them are very reserved. They don't want to talk for you to hear the smell.
Right.
So we always educate them to at least get some mouthwash and mild brushes so that they won't get hurt during brushing their teeth and all that. Yeah.
And Franz was talking about when you ask about the breathing. So when you lose blood, your blood levels will fall. You become anemic.
Yeah.
So when you become anemic, it affects your breathing. So you walk a little distance. So climbing stairs that you climb every day, you climb and you feel like you've run a marathon. Even sometimes bathing, you bath and you have to spend like 30 minutes sitting down to calm down. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you had enough blood, you would have just walked off. So that's the thing about, and he was talking about the isolation and everything. And even teachers, we've had situations where teachers have insisted that students are lying. Like the way he said, your knee is swollen, it's painful. Teachers will be like, no, you are dramatizing. Yes, you are. So those who I've had to write letters to headmasters, education directors to explain to them that students should be taking off their manual work in school. Because every time you stress yourself, lifting heavy objects, reading for a long time and all those things, you can bleed. And sometimes people don't understand. They just don't understand that a child can have such a problem. And it sometimes can become very, very difficult. And he mentioned about the school thing. they'll have to. I remember France, your BC, I think your BC, we had to do some arrangements.
Yeah.
Yes. The time he was supposed to write BC, he had a problem, so he couldn't write. So I think you had to wait for some time and something like that.
Yeah.
So they have these things. They miss school frequently because you can wake up and then your knee or both knees are swollen, your ankles are swollen, and you can't go to school, and you are missing school, exam time.
Yeah.
So it becomes a challenge academically, socially, and let's not forget the financial bit.
Right.
Because you come to hospital, you know how these things work.
Yes.
Expensive.
It's not for free.
It's not for free. You have to do the labs. Sometimes you have to give you drips. You have to be on admission for days and all that. And parents and caregivers get overwhelmed with these things. Yes. So it's a difficult situation.
And that only goes, Dr. Titi and
Yes.
Chana, it only goes to show how much people in Ghana don't know about this condition. Because, for instance, if a teacher knew that a student is going through this and they had much knowledge, I'm sure that when the student calls or comes to school and says, my knee is swollen, I need to go home, they would understand the condition better. But it's because we don't have education on what hemophilia is and how it can affect you. Now, we know the root cause is genetic. Is it possible for a mother who doesn't have hemophilia to birth a child who has the condition?
Yeah, so let me go back. So France mentioned that it affects mainly the male sex, so mainly, but there are females who have hemophilia too. The commonest female we all know, Queen Victoria, if you read the history, will tell you, she had hemophilia. So she gave it to, so the royal family, so it's called the royal disease. Yes, they all have it. But the females are rare. So what happens is that it's inherited on the what we call the X chromosome, right? So the thing with this is that females are spared. So mothers are carriers. They are carriers. And they give it to their sons. So France will give it to his daughter, but she'll be fine.
Right.
She'll go through life, everything like
Easy.
normally.
Yeah.
But so his grandson might be the person who suffer from it.
So if he has a son, the son will not.
If he has a son, the son will not. Because the Y, in determining sex is X and Y. Males, you have to have X and Y. And only males have Y. So as we say, left to the ladies alone, we'll all be females.
Right.
It's only a man who determines the sex.
Right.
So his sons will not have it. But his daughters will be carriers. But they will not experience anything. They will go through life normal, like all of us. But if they have sons, their sons might, and the word is might, so it's not like constant.
Yes.
Yeah, so might have it.
Right.
So it's where the males, so it runs through sons, uncles, grandfathers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
On the maternal side.
Yeah.
That's how the inheritance is. And that makes it difficult because it's like, how come you alone, you are different from
all of us.
Yeah, all of us, yeah, because your mother is fine, your sisters might be fine, your aunties might be fine, and then you alone, you come and you say you have a problem. And that's where the acceptance and things becomes a problem, yes.
Right. Now, what entirely causes this? Because you've explained that it's blood that has accumulated.
Yeah.
But what would push the blood? What type of activity would you do to get this swelling?
It can be spontaneous, as Fran said. It might be just that nothing. You just wake up.
Just
you
wake
have
up
it.
then.
And it's there.
It's just cloth.
Yes.
You just wake up. You are there normally, and then your knee is swollen.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Sometimes when you do strenuous
Sometimes too, it becomes like you go for a walk, or you stand for a long time, or you go carry objects or something like that.
When they walk longer distance.
Then you get a swelling like this.
You play football with your friend, maybe you get a crash, it will start swelling.
Contact sports, anything contact sports. So as you said, basketball, football, as for boxing.
Hey, you don't go
So you see, then that means his mother was not wrong after all.
Yeah.
Because you see, children, when you leave them to go and play, by the time they come back, they have 5 cuts on one leg.
Five.
That is true. If you leave a child to go and play, they'll have. So I think maybe, and sometimes we misunderstand our parents till we get to a certain age, because his mom was very strict. Because if she allows him to go and play, and he's a boy too, when he goes out to play, he will forget. Like he said, he felt like a normal child.
Yes.
He will forget that he has a condition and just go out and play like that. So in other sense, do you understand why your mom was
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Yeah, but you see, what we taught, and now the education is that, so we protect them.
Right.
So now we have gadgets. You see I'm sure you see some kids who are wearing helmets in schools and stuff.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, now we want them to live as normal as possible, because you see the isolation, stigmatization, it affects them. I tell you, even France is bold enough to sit here. I'm even surprised. He's talking very well.
They didn't want to come.
A lot of Hemophilians will
they
never appear on TV. They don't want anybody
They
to
don't
know.
people to know about
They
the
hide.
condition.
And I can tell you, some very educated people, they never want anybody to know. They hide because they feel, it makes you feel like you are not normal. It's like the guys will say, Oshe, it's like you are not up there. It's like you there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So many people, so he's even down over that. He's sitting here and he's talking about it. Many will not talk about it. Many will talk about it. So now we say that they should live as normal as possible. So there are things you should do. We help them do. So it's actually keeping an eye on them.
Right. I want us to get into misconception. But before that, let me find out. So if a man has hemophilia and a woman also has hemophilia, is it advisable? Can they get married? Should they even get married?
So you see, that question I've been asked several times. And as I said, you see, I was in the word might. You see, so when people get married, it doesn't mean that they will definitely get a child who has hemophilia. It's about chances. We talk about probability. So if a hemophilia woman marries a hemophilia man, they have, I think, 1 in 2, 50% of getting a child. So for every pregnancy the woman will carry, you have 50% chance of getting a hemophilia child. That means there's another 50% of not getting a hemophilia child.
Okay.
So it's our probability. So we don't usually say that don't marry, because you all know, nobody knows, nobody determines what happens. Pregnancy is just, it's like cha-cha, anything can happen. But what we say is that we advise you. It's an educated, we give you informed, you make an informed decision. So we tell you what the risks are. And most people will not, after you've told them what the outcome might be. But we will not say, like, you shouldn't get married. But we'll tell you what the risk out there is, yes.
Now, Christiana has an organization. You work with the organization. For education purposes, also because we've said that not a lot of people know. So what does the organization do to spread more education on hemophilia?
Okay, like we are doing here, we go for education on radios and TVs. We also do travel to other regions to go and organize outreaches. We go with information vans into the areas to tell people about the condition. We also organize healthcare trainings to train nurses, doctors, biomedical scientists, and physiotherapists on how to manage the condition. And we also source for the drugs for the patient, because the drugs are very expensive and they are not even in the country. They are not available in any pharmacy that you can just walk in and say, I'm buying hemophilia factor. It is a donation that the World Federation of Hemophilia sends through us, and we distribute to the hospitals for the patients. And we also do organize parent and patient meetings where we gather the patients we have, we talk to them about how to manage their conditions. We also advise them that when they go home, at least tell your friends around you, educate your peers at school, like Emmanuel does, tell your teachers that you have this condition and that when they meet such a child, they shouldn't involve them in strenuous activities. So this is what the society does.
Yes,
for now.
sure.
We also advocate for them. For now, we've been trying to get NHIS to cover diagnosis for hemophilia. We've tried, they said hemophilia is covered, but then diagnosis is not covered. It's only doctor consultation that is covered. So you can only go and see a doctor, but when it's time for you to pay for the diagnosis, it's on you. So we want them to at least cover the diagnosis, and then in future time, maybe they can be able to procure drugs for the patient. Because a time will come, this donation will stop. The donor who is always giving us donation, donor fatigue will set in, will say, oh, I'm tired of giving you factors. At least your government should be able to procure factors for you now. Yes, so that is what the society is doing.
All right. And Dr. Tate, because I was going to ask, why don't we get them in the pharmacies? Why do you have to specifically go to the hospitals to get this?
Yeah, so as I said, these drugs are very expensive. A vial can cost as
over
much
$1,000.
as over $1,000.
Yeah.
One vial.
$1,000.
Yes. And sometimes when he comes in, he can take like eight vials or 10 vials at a go.
$8,000.
Yes. When he comes in, and he can come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if he has to go for a procedure, I remember there was a time he had to go for a procedure. We were giving him morning, evening, so 6 morning, 6 evening, 6 morning for like 1 week.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's a question about those. What about circumcision? You know what about circumcision?
Circumcision.
Yes, we do it for them.
Wow.
We plan and do it for them. And we are going to be circumcised. It's a whole project.
There have to be a lot of factors.
Everybody is on board. Everybody, doctors, nurses, counselors.
Because we can lose a lot of blood.
A lot of blood.
Yes.
So they have to gather a lot of
So we gather a lot of
factors.
factors. You come in admission. We talk to the doctors. Actually, it's a planned procedure. You don't. It takes sometimes it takes months to get it done, and then we do it. So the thing about the drugs is that it's very expensive, and you see what happens is that most of the patients, the cost involved, even getting to diagnosis and all, is too much for them. So that's where society comes in, and the World Federation comes to donate to us, and that's what we use. We are hoping, as you said, that one day our government will, because these donations are coming from other governments, and so we hope that one day we'll get there.
Yes.
But for us now, the diagnosis, the tests that they use to detect it, there are two major tests you have to do. There's one called the clotting profile. That will tell us that you have a bleeding problem. And then there's another test that will tell us how much of the factor you have. So, France, you are A. What's your percentage? You are severe, right?
Yes, severe.
So
severe.
the factor, he has less than 1%.
1% in him.
In his body.
Right.
Something that you should have at least 50%. Assuming you are normal. 50%, right? He has 1%. All right. And he has less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Severe.
It's severe, less than 1%. And detecting that, even that test, not many scientists can even do it. It's done by, and that's why she said that they train. So even getting doctors to understand when you go to the hospital that it is hemophilia, you have to be trained. The nurses care for them. The biomedical scientists, physiotherapists. We work with social workers. We work with pharmacists. Even storing the drugs, you can't store them anywhere.
They have to be kept.
They have to be kept in the fridge at a particular temperature.
Yeah.
So when you come to my unit in Kolebu, we have a dedicated fridge. If you think there's water in it, it's all drugs. It's all for them. Yes.
So have we appealed to governments, Christiana? Have we spoken to governments? Have we asked them to come to our aid?
Yes, we've approached governments.
What has their response been?
We've been to the Ministry of Health to talk about this diagnosis coverage. And then we were directed to go to the National Health Insurance Authority because they are in charge. And then when we got there, we had several meetings with them. At long run, they were like, the NHIS is overwhelmed. And there are other conditions out there that they are being taken care of. And hemophilia, looking at the percentage, maybe we are not so a lot like malaria, sickle cell. TB. So a lot of things have been diverted to those sides. So
as we speak, there's no help for those with hemophilia.
There's no
there's a little help.
Except
when you see a doctor,
at least
that one NHIS will cover.
You have to go and run this test. He will just tell you, you have to go and run this test so that we get to know whether you have the clotting factor that he was talking about. And those tests are expensive. So some of the patients, when they go there and they tell them this, they just turn their back and they go away. And
so I'll plead with government, if you're listening, because these are people that are suffering. You wake up in the morning, you have blood accumulated in parts of your body, and this can be very detrimental to someone's health. If they're listening, if the government is listening, the health minister, we are hoping that you come to our aid. We hope that even if now the full coverage, even if it's 50%, you've gone a long way to help that marginalized woman or that woman who lives in the village and is only surviving on cocoa to get something to eat. You're helping somebody who is in there who doesn't have a job to do but lives with this condition. This condition, nobody buys it for themselves. You're born with it. So please come to their aid because they are also very important. We need them alive and we need them to feel as normal as France is feeling.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really is because I mean, there are young people, and when these conditions come about, the first people I think about is those who live in areas that born people who don't even know
about it.
You know, she said that by the studies, like statistics, we are supposed to have about 1% of our population. So, like, we are expecting like 3,500 Ghanaians.
With hemophilia.
Officially, we know just about 500.
529.
520.
So there are still
so ask yourself,
people out
the
there.
other 3,000 or more who are out there, where are they? And you hear about children dying at birth. Sometimes they come, if a hemophilia child is born and the delivery is traumatic, they can bleed in their head, they can die. Yeah. A hemophilia child is born, sometimes even when they are circumcised, they don't know to circumcise them, they can bleed to death. So there are lots more out there in the regions and we are losing them, but we don't know.
Right.
And that's why our figures are low. And it's not because they are not out there. They are there. Sometimes the parents know. And I'll tell you, the mothers will tell you that, I gave it to my first son, we circumcised him, and he died. Second son, he died. So third son, they will circumcise him. When you hear such stories, they know.
They know.
Yes, our people will know.
Right.
And I'm sure there are people who said a knife should never touch them. I'm sure you heard people like that. They said, yes. And people knew, they know that there's something that can happen. But what really it is, that's what they don't know. But they have their own way of managing. And when sometimes it gets difficult. And I tell people, assuming you bleed into your brain, it's a stroke.
Right.
If you bleed into your eye, you are blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can happen. It happens. I've had a patient who's bled into their brain before.
So please quickly run me through some misconceptions people have because this is a condition, whether we like it or not, it's here. So what are some of the misconceptions that people have about this sickness as well?
The first one is that the child is demonic. Most of these children, they abandon them. So you every day you are bleeding. Every day you are bleeding. They leave them. That's the first thing. They think that it's some evil thing. The child is demonic. The other thing is that they think that a curse has been placed on
you.
On you, yes. That's the thing. So there are some children who are even isolated by their own parents. They are not treated like their other siblings because they think that you are cursed. So you always have swollen knees. You are bleeding from your mouth, bleeding from your nose, you urinate blood. I mean, that kind of thing. So even among their own siblings, they think that they are cursed. Then the other thing is that some people think that it is not a near hospital area. It's not for the hospital. So they won't come.
You'd rather go and pray.
Oh, prayer, the herbalists, the malam, they do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I've had, in my very early days as a house officer, we had a father who said he doesn't believe we should give his child to him. He had to take my head of department and we had to call social welfare and Ghana police to arrest the father.
Yeah.
He actually came to the ward and he was carrying the child away. And this was in Kolebu. And we had to arrest him because, children are protected by the Labor Act, so by the Children's Act. So we were able to do that. And so that's the thing. They don't believe that it's for hospital. They would rather do other things. So the people who have, the picture you showed earlier, I know that I can show it. They get wasting of the knee. So their knees become very, they are wasting of the muscles. So their thighs become very small.
Yeah.
If you watch, look at the two thighs.
Yes.
Look at the right one.
The size. Yes.
Look at the left thigh.
Yes.
That's wasting. Recurrent bleeding, the muscle becomes, you start losing the muscle. So this person, I can tell you that when he walks, he will walk with some unsteady. Those are the problems.
Little deformities.
Yeah. So they walk with deformities, and that even makes it worse. That you are some demonic child, you have something. Yeah, that's what happens. So these are some of the things that we have to deal with, and it boils down to education.
So as children, as parents, and even as individuals, let's just pick it from childhood. When you give birth, at what point should you check if child has hemophilia? And even as an adult, maybe early 20s, 18s, 19s, at what point should we check, and where can we check? Okay,
so the first thing is that it's not even the checking, but you should be alert. And I tell patients and the public, everybody that, blood is found all over the human body. Even when you pull your hair, you can get blood. But blood flows in vessels. It's not like it's there. It flows in vessels. So I tell people that anytime you see blood, it's an emergency.
Right.
If you wake up any morning, you blow your nose, you see blood stains, don't sit down. Tell somebody. That might be the first sign of something. So we tell parents that when you give birth to a child, all right, and you see anything, you circumcise the child. So the first thing is the umbilical cord. Mm-hmm. When they cut, within a few days, it should heal. If after 1 week, 2 weeks, your child's umbilical cord is still bleeding, that's the first sign. You have a male child, circumcise the child, hey, the thing is still bleeding. A child, 5 years, 6 years, the tooth falls out, the bleeding is not stopping. Because usually when we lose our teeth, a few minutes or something, it stopped. But for hemophiliacs, it won't stop. So the thing is to look out for bleeding from anywhere. And for those who are a bit fair, you can actually see the red patches on the skin.
Right.
It becomes like a red this thing on the skin. Mm-hmm. Yes, and you can see. So once you see any of these signs, even if you cannot test, just talk to a health worker about it.
Right.
Then the rest will follow.
Right.
Yes.
Shana, on Friday, we're celebrating the World Hemophilia Day. What does the society have planned? Do we have anything we're doing this year?
Okay.
And also, Dr. Titi, I'll find out from you that the hospital also has anything put together.
Okay, so at the society, what we are doing is continue to create more awareness on the condition. So we have other volunteers in other regions who are also visiting other hospitals and some neighboring towns to also educate the public about the condition. And mostly on the celebration day, people do wear red to also help celebrate the World Hemophilia Day so that the hemophilics won't be left out, they won't feel all alone. So that is all that we are doing for now.
Okay. All right, Dr. Titi.
From the medical providers' point, and so we work with the society. Yeah. So I think on Friday at the University of Ghana Medical Center, UGMC, they'll have something like an open day. I mean, it's like we are inviting everybody. Come, there'll be posters. You see some of these pictures. Mm-hmm. There'll be some other things. It's just to expose hemophilia to the public, and then we'll be there. There'll be counselors, there'll be doctors, nurses who have been trained, and they can answer your questions. That's what the main thing is about the awareness, as you said. Right. And then getting the diagnosis. Right. Then we can take it from there.
Okay. Now, Franz, you as well, in your little way, how are you spreading awareness of this?
Okay, so mostly on my my WhatsApp status, I post the awareness. I post certain things they need to know before taking a next step. Because like what Dr. Tete was saying, some people, they go to an extent that they think it's demonic, it's spiritual, so they go to the malams and then pastors for them to be delivered. But going to the hospital first will help because you'll be diagnosed on time and then you seek treatment that you need to get.
So in short, early prevention saves lives.
Yeah.
Right. If there's one thing I like about Franz, he's made us understand that he won't let this condition put him down when you're pursuing music. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
How are you able to deal with that whilst doing music? Does it hinder you sometimes?
A lot. Yeah. Sometimes I even get nervous because I'm like, you see, you are sick. You're going to do music. Can you stand for a long time? I get people telling me that, can you stand for a long time?
You can't be jumping around.
You can't be jumping. You can't be performing for long. Yeah. So I just listen to them. I don't say anything because I motivated. Yeah. But in me, I know I can do it. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And you can. And you. How many years have you been doing music now?
Okay, so actually because of this disorder, I've not been able to
break out.
Put in more effort. But if I should say, music is something I've been doing when I was young.
Right.
Yeah, I was young, but it's something I've been hindering because me, myself, I'm shy. I'm always isolated. I do everything in my room.
Right.
So But this time around, I'll be coming out.
We need you to come.
Yeah.
Wait, so what type of music? What genre of music?
Okay, I do Afrobeats and then pop music.
Hey, do you have a song that you would want to share with me? Like, give me like some one-liner.
Okay, so.
Or maybe you come back.
No, I mean, I need to hear like a sneak peek. You can do it. Me, I trust you.
He's very shy. I'll put him on the spot.
Okay, so. Yolo, Manulili once. Yeah, yolo, Manulili once. AI, make no stop, keep moving. Charlie, you go free to make up. Oh yeah, make up. Oh yeah, I make no stop, keep moving. Charlie, you go free to make up. Oh yeah, make up. Oh yeah, I.
Oh Lord. You see, so imagine you are going to allow the world to stop you from giving us this beautiful voice, and he sings amazing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Sounds heavenly. Well, I would only say, from all of us sitting here, we would say that you're strong, you're bold, all your efforts would not go into the drain, and because of you, I'm sure that someone who has hemophilia is sitting at home and has been inspired to also step out. So don't stop. Let nothing ever move you from inspiring others. You're doing amazing. Please put your hands together for amazing. So I have to let you go. Final words to people in Ghana, why people should test for this, even if you've not seen it. Is it advisable, for instance, if I've not seen blood, I just want to check?
You can check.
I can do that.
You can do that, yeah.
Right.
Yes. So to the general public and to all of us, so the first thing is that just seek information. So as we said, even if you've not seen blood, and we've want to mention the ladies, some of these heavy bleeding, heavy menses, it could be it, yes.
Right.
Well, they are grace, the mild, moderate, severe. So, yeah, so just walk into any hospital and talk to them. And there are tests that you do. There are basically two main tests after which they will be able to tell you something. But the main thing I would say is that let's support people with hemophilia. Let's not marginalize them, especially when it comes to the school, the children going to school, teachers, headmistresses, house mistresses. You know, because when they're in their boarding houses, they are forced to do all sorts of things, and it becomes a problem. So let's just, if you know any hemophiliac at all, go the extra mile to make life a bit comfortable for the person. I think that's what I'll do. Yes.
Right. Christiana, before you give me your last words, let me read this one. This one says, this is clearly a mutation that is a generic disorder. He has really done well, living life boldly with hemophilia. I am Charity. All right, thank you, Charity. So she says this is the genetic disorder, obviously. Thank you for sending in that message. And also, Christiana, final word.
Okay, so I'd just like to encourage all of us to share the burden. As we've heard about the condition, we've heard what it's about, the signs and symptoms to look out for. You can also tell others about it. When you meet your friend, you can tell her that, oh, I heard this about hemophilia, is this and this condition, so that they get to know about it and then know where to get help. And also, when it happens like that, the men normally run away from the women. Most of the hemophilic parents are single mothers.
Right.
They will come with their kids. So we encourage the men to at least help them to take care of their kids and not run away from them. And also, if you want maybe more information from us, you can reach out to us on our Instagram and Facebook at Ghana Hemophilia Society, and at our website at www.ghemos.org. And also you can call us on 0509-2943-184 for maybe further information.
Okay, thank you. And then France, finally, before we let you go, any last words?
Just keep moving. Just don't give up. Be strong. Encourage us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. We've had Dr. Titi Christiana and Emmanuel France with us. Please put your hands together for a very educative topic. Once again, if you're home, you don't necessarily have to see blood before you jump to the hospital. Check yourselves. It's very important. They always ask us to go to the hospital, I think once every 3 months, to do like a general.
At least, depending on your age, but Even once a year is okay.
Once a year.
Yeah,
so
to be fine.
please go and get yourself checked. And also to the health ministry, we hope, once again, let's try. I know that maybe the NHIS may have, or it's covering a number of other diseases and sicknesses, but we are asking that hemophilia is also one that is also very tough on people. If possible, even if you can take 50% of the burden, we will take it. Please come to our aid. Well, this has been a good conversation, but we have so much more right here for you on Changes. I am Lois Shola Adeyemi.